I see we have 6:03, so I want to start because of that. It's great pleasure for me to welcome you on our new meeting, new sort of meeting, because it's the first edition of It's Okay to Fail event. This event will be recorded, so we want to share this video from this event with our community. So because of that, we want to record that. And I want to ask you also, all who can, of course, to switch on cameras. Because it will be really great for us today to see each other, to have this more personal relation. Of course, it's online, but it still could be much better to see other people. Especially, it will be important in the one of the next part of this event, because we want to make an exercise also in small groups, and it will be much easier to have this face contact also. So if you can, please stay with cameras switch on. Okay, let me start. Let me make this short introduction to this event. It's Okay to Fail. My name is Rafał Mrówka. I'm the professor of leadership at SGH, Warsaw School of Economics. I work in management theory department, but I'm also the director of MBA program office and the director of MBA for Startup program. And this program is the reason we are here today. It's a very unique, I can say, in international scale, 2-year fully online MBA program dedicated to entrepreneurs, prepared in cooperation with Kulczyk Investment Company. It's the program concerning on acquiring practical managerial knowledge needed to manage startups in Poland, but also you can see abroad. This cooperation between our school, it is SGH and Kulczyk Investment Company, it's a guarantee of joining some professional management knowledge with very practical mentoring program. And we are supported by many international experts. We trust that our students who are members of our community will develop their ideas, business ideas during these studies with their peers, with cooperation with them. And this event is something additional to our core program, because we decided not only to have these traditional MBA courses, but also to organize such events as today. I want now to start with some short exercise with you. You probably you have already the code to Menti. If you have it, please now answer on to my questions. I try to share it with you. First, I want to have this idea from where are our participants today. So please try to answer on this question. We have already some answer: Tel Aviv, Warsaw, Olsztyn, Tokyo, Wrocław, Barcelona, Gniezno, Katowice, many cities in the world, as you can see, mostly in Poland. Warsaw is the most popular still, but we have some international participants on also. 25 answers, a few answers more, please. Budapest, Żyrardów, Romania, what else? Okay, Gdańsk also. Okay, but as you can see, international audience. international audience, not only Poland. I'm very happy that we have not only Poland, but also people from abroad. I'm not surprised, I can say, because I invited some guests from different countries today. And as you can see, I'm quite successful with that. Okay, but don't close this application now, because I want really now to have this answer. Please answer on this question. Name 3 emotions you feel concerning word failure. Absolutely open. 3 emotions concerning word failure you feel. Still no answer. 1 answer. Tired, anxiety, sadness, much more, upset, depressed, disappointed, very negative, sad, excitement of what comes. So something positive also. Pain, tired, guilt. Okay. You can fill this questionnaire, but being honest, I have what I wanted to have already. If we observe these slides, you can see that most of these emotions are rather bad, rather pessimistic. Sadness, sad, angry, disappointed, disappointment, shame. So a lot of negative emotions. And the reason we organize today this event is rather to change a little bit this way of feeling. I see Nir is already very happy because of outcome of this small research. And I want to start with some introduction, how it's possible that when the idea of this event started. I have to say, I had the idea of this event a few months ago in November. The idea was born in Israel, and it's the reason why we have here a few people from Israel. The idea started during the program Connect and Experience, organized by European Institute of Innovation and Technology, EIT, Hub Israel. And I remember that during this program, which is dedicated to develop startup managers, startup ecosystem managers from Europe, a program which is based on some experiences created in Israel, how to create this very innovative environment, how to use this experience connected with startup nation as we perceive Israel today. And this program prepared in Israel was a great opportunity for me to think about some reasons why this country is so effective, so successful in innovating, in startups, in creating some new ventures in the world. I remember a great workshop, a great workshop with Nir Koren, who is with us here. Yeah, it's Nir. A great workshop in Tel Aviv. And I remember during this workshop, we started the idea of organizing such a fuck-up nights to share failures, to learn from them, to use failures as a tool to develop us and our ideas. Nir Koren is a founder and CEO of Built-In, and our today guest, as you can see, it's the reason why Nir is here, because he started this idea. I'm smiling, he's a godfather today's event, and I'm very happy Nils with us. Being honest, my personal observation after this Israeli workshop, Israeli training, is that the reason of the Israeli success culture and one of crucial key element of this culture of this startup nation, is this tolerance to failures, learning from failures, combined with some great words, for example, chutzpah. Adina, our another guest today and godmother of this event, will say something about these great words today. So I know that Adina will say something about chutzpah, about a few similar things. But really, this culture, which outcome is a lot of new ventures, a lot of experiments, a lot of innovations, but the culture is concentrated on this tolerance to failure, I can say. And we decided to organize here in Poland, but also in Europe, this event to promote failures, because I think it is a part of Israeli culture. It's not a part of Polish or most European countries' culture to be so tolerant to failures. So it's short introduction and reasons why we are here. But now I want to ask my friends from Israel, to make this introduction about the culture, about some special elements you can find in Israel, which we can learn from them, but all of them concentrated on failures. Adina is our first keynote speaker today. Adina was a project manager of Connect and Experience program of EIT Hub Israel. So I know her already a few months, and it was great experience for me. Adina and also Adi Barel, who cannot be with us today. Adi is managing director of EIT Hub Israel. I can say they are responsible for this situation we are here. Adina, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you very much. Wow, what a welcome. And first of all, going to start by saying thank you so much for inviting us. We were honestly so excited to see that Connect and Experience was part of the inspiration for this event. So I'll begin with that. I do actually want to share my screen. Rafael, are you able to change the settings so that I think you have to change that?
You should share.
No, it says that I can't, that you've
okay,
disabled.
Sorry, just a second. I will make co-host. You can.
Okay, I will share my screen. This will stop. Yes, continue. I do. I have my PowerPoint here. This is going to be a short presentation, just 5 minutes. Let me have a look. And we have started here. And I think that my video stopped, so I'm going to go back for that. Okay, here we go. So as Rafael mentioned, coming to Israel was the inspiration for a Fuck Up Night event. So why? Why does that happen? Do people come to Israel and just want to talk about their failures? Well, obviously no, but that is a big part of the culture. So I'm going to just go back a sec. Now, you may have heard of Israel as the startup nation. So welcome to Israel. A few numbers here to put everything in proportion. So Israel is a very small country. You can see here at the bottom the size. You can compare it to the size of New Jersey in the United States, the size of Slovenia. But somehow in this small country, you have around 7,000 active startups. You have 73 or 74, the number changes, of unicorns. So just to put that in proportion, in the world, there are 1,000 unicorns. In Israel, there are 73 out of that 1,000. So something here is making Israel stand out. And we can see another number. There's one innovative company for every 1,400 people. Again, this is a mind-blowing number. And we look here at the ranking. This is Startup Genome from 2021. Israel was number 7 out of the top global ecosystems. And if we look at 2022, their clean tech edition, looking at the climate tech, energy tech, number 2. Okay, so these are mind-blowing numbers. So what's the secret? What's the secret? Why Israel? Now I'm going to mention 5 reasons, 5 factors that have made Israel the startup nation. And what's important to remember is that I'm going to say some things that are going to make you think of other countries. And you'll say, okay, there are other countries that have this same factor. But what's unique here in Israel is that all of them come together. And that's what makes it special. So if we look at the first reason, so Israel is essentially an island with no natural resources. It's not really an island. You can look on a map and see, but we are surrounded by a number of countries that we don't have diplomatic relations with. It's sort of changed in the last few years. When Israel was established in 1948, there were no countries around the borders that they could call neighbors and no natural resources. So this is what we call innovation out of necessity. There was a necessity to create our own resources. There was a necessity to be innovative. And this is the first reason, the first factor. Next, I'm going to mention the military service. So again, not the only country in the world with a mandatory military service, but in Israel, it is mandatory for every man and woman at the age of 18 to go into the military. I was in the military, I was actually an officer. And what people gain in the military is 2 things. One is hard skills. So for different roles in the military, people are trained, soldiers are trained, and they leave the army with skills that after that help them in the workforce. And there's also soft skills, leadership, the need to think under pressure, the sense of responsibility. I can tell you, there are people with way more responsibility than me, but for me, by the age of 19, I was in charge 24/7 for 15 soldiers as part of a course, a basic training. I had no prior experience. It was an extremely intense time to be with them. They were there 24/7. They were away from their parents for the first time. And this is the kind of experience we gain from the military service that afterwards contributes to the soft skills that we have in the workforce. An immigrant society. So when Israel was established in 1948, flocks of immigrants came to the country from all around the world, and many from the countries that you mentioned. And one thing that can be said about immigrants, and this has been proven, is that they are more likely to take risks. Why? Because they have less to lose. So this is also something that has contributed to being one of Israel's unique factors to make it so innovative. People, again, aren't afraid of taking risks. And I will come back to that. The next factor we have is a sense of community. Everybody knows everybody. There's a saying that there's 2 degrees of separation. If I want to reach someone in Israel, it's always going to be 2 phone calls away, no more than that. And it's been sort of tested in all sort of trials and tests. 2 phone calls away, you can reach anybody. The president of the country, maybe 3 calls, but you can get there. And this is a sense of community. And this also comes into effect when we talk about the high-tech sector because of mentors, people who are very willing to mentor younger startups, younger entrepreneurs, because of this sense of this community, the sense to help people. They want to make sure that everyone is doing well. And the last factor, which brings us to where we are today, is a culture of daring. So it's not that this connects to our risk-taking culture. Everything is possible and you shouldn't be afraid to fail. And because of this, this brings us to where we are today. This acceptance of failure enables people to have a culture of daring. That's one leads to the other. Now, if I want to finish with something, it's 3 words in Hebrew that when brought together encompass the Israeli entrepreneur. And Rafael sort of mentioned this before and almost stole my words, but I will finish with these 3 words that I want to leave you with. And I hope that everyone here today who shares their failure has these 3 words in mind that are designed to take you forward. The first one is yalla. Just don't overthink it. Tachlis, say it as it is. And I'm sure Nir will mention this. This was the name of his workshop. Say it as it is. And the last one is chutzpah. Take risks, because what is the worst thing that can happen? You'll get a no, or you won't manage. And these are words that I'm saying, and I know in myself, I have to sort of remind myself, and it's easier said than done, for sure. No one likes to fail. But the culture around you and the culture surrounding you that can accept this and help you learn from this and move forward is what makes Israel the innovative country that it is today. So thank you very much. And I'm going to pass the microphone back to Rafal. Thank you.
Thank you, Adina. Thank you very much. I want to ask now to have this speech, our second keynote speaker. And as I said, the godfather. We have godmother, now we have godfather of today's event, Nir Koren. Nir Koren, who is the CEO and founder of Building in Israel. As I said, I remember him providing his extremely inspirational workshop in Tel Aviv. So I'm absolutely sure he will be so, gives you so much inspiration also today. So Neil, the floor is yours, please.
Okay, are you ready? Okay, we'll do it very quick. I have approximately 7 minutes, more or less, right, Rafa?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. I'll assume you said yes. Okay, and Rafa has showed you just when he used the Mentimeter, how do you think about failure? And you said it's going to be sad. I'll try to catch it up. It's going to be very, that you think that it is, you said it's going to be sad and disappointing, and you feel
if you
angry.
want, I can share this.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Feel free. And that's a problem, because if that's the way you think about failure, we have a problem. And we'll try to convince you within these 7 minutes that a failure, or I will try to convince you that this is okay to fail. And Adina has told you a lot of things about Israel, but you are not in Israel. So it's also a problem, because what can you do? And when Rafa has invited me to this event, I told him, listen, you remember in the workshop, we learned one word, and it was tachlis. And tachlis means directly and mean to give value. So I will not bring you slides, and I will just try to bring you good answer, because what I'm really worried about is that one of you during this event will ask himself, why? I mean, why are we talking about failures? And Rafa has already used the Mentimeter, so I will ask you, please, if you will be very kind to write in the comments in the chat, just one thing, a number. I want you to think about a number. How much money were you willing to pay to get a lecture from me of 1 hour that I will tell you about my largest failure ever? Just a number, put it now in the chat while I talk, and we will get to it soon. Just a number, please, in euros. A number, how much money were you willing to pay for 1 hour that I will teach you what I've learned from my largest failure? And the most important thing for me is that one of you will ask himself during this session, why are we talking about failures? I mean, we should talk about success, not about failures. And I think that you must talk about failures. And although you are not Israel, and although you think it's sad, I think you must talk about failure. And I will try to tell you why. And one of the things that I want to focus is the value, the real value of failure for you all. Building is a consulting company, and we work with cities, and we work with municipalities, and we work with states. And the main thing we try always to bring to the table is about the ability or the value of the failure. And now there is a very nice model about failure and how to create it, or how to create a meeting within an organization. And there is a very nice model created by Amazon that says that if you want to have a meeting with your own people, then you shouldn't start the morning meeting by telling them how was today. Because if you will ask them how was today, what you've done in the last month, you will get long answers and very not concrete answers. And Amazon has created the model that say, if you want to talk to your people very, very time sensitive and get good answers, and if you want to create something that can create value or openness within the organization, you should focus on 4 things. The first one is the actions. And they have something like 4 squares. The first one is the action. Each and every one of the participants should say, what are the main actions you've done for the last month? And the second thing is about the targets, how he's been handling his targets, and only by number. The third thing is about something you've learned, something new, some trend, something you figured out. And the fourth one is about failure and success. And the ability to put your conversation according to this idea begins in earning trust. I mean, Amazon defines one of its principles by saying that they want their people to be vocally self-critical, even when doing so is awkwardness or embarrassing. And of course, talking about your failures is embarrassing, but that's the way to earn trust. And that's the way to I think, learn new things and to save time. Because if some of us has already made this mistake, we can save a lot of time just by knowing it, if he's willing to share his mistake. And I took this model and I went about 2 months ago to a very nice place called Lotus with an amazing woman called Maisa Halabi. And she has an accelerator for Druzian women. They are all, each and every one of them has her initiative. And I asked them to say how much money they were willing to pay. They all wrote their targets and what they've learned the last month and what was their failure. And I asked them, how much money were you willing to pay one another to read what the other one is wrote there? And I'll just try to see what's your number. So you are willing to pay 100, 200, 1,000. Okay. And someone sent a file. So you are very generous. But when I ask them that question, they say that for the targets, they are willing to pay $0 to $1. And for the actions, they will be willing to pay $2, because I don't care about what she does or what's her targets. And if she wants to tell me what she learned, I can give her $3 or $4. But for their successes and mainly for their failures, I'm willing to pay a lot of money because I want to know. Maybe it's interesting because I want to know where did she fail. But I think that the most important thing I can learn from it is by knowing what she tried to do. And she thought that this is going to lead to this. But there was a surprise in there. It didn't happen somewhere. We don't know why, but it's a very good story. If I'll try to compare it to, I thought about getting to 99 and I achieved 99, that's boring. I thought that it's going to be a great event and eventually it was catastrophic. No one came. What happened there? And Adina has mentioned 3 words and I want to give you also 3 words, but it's not going to be in Hebrew, it's going to be in English. When I try to describe what innovation is, and I said it in the seminar, it's about value, but when I try to think or to say, how do we measure it and how do we focus or create an organization that know how to promote innovation, I say that this is mainly 3 words. It's about fail, fast, and cheap. If your organization is willing to fail, you have a culture within the organization that say that failure is okay. If you did something, I want you to try it 90 times and say, okay, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, before you're going to the point. So first of all, is creating a culture for failure. And the second thing is about doing it fast. Because if it will take you 3 years to create this fuck up night, maybe it will not be relevant anymore. And the third thing is about making it cheap. Try to see if there is possibility, if anyone wants it, and don't try to invest all your money, create a 2-year process, and then bring your thing. So the second thing is about understanding this fail, fast, and cheap in your startup, in your initiative, in your organization. And the fourth thing I want to talk about is, Rafael said, is it even possible? Is it even possible to change their mind and take what they think about failure and convince them that it is an amazing thing? And possible is a good word because one of the things I'm working now on is an initiative called Possible. It's right now I'm in Vienna. I'm originally from Tel Aviv. And we are here in the UN because we're presenting an initiative called Possible. Possible is an initiative that wants to, I don't have another word or way, my time is, to describe it, but to change the world. It's an initiative that we're going to need accessibility organization, we're going to need Amazon and Facebook and Google and Intel, we're going to need all the right corporates in the world in order to change or to create a large change that can change everything. And we are here in the UN to represent it and to share this idea with large companies who want to be part of it. But this is the main thing. I mean, if you are willing to work about failures, it means you are willing to do crazy things. Otherwise, it's going to be very boring. It's going to be very expected. And I'm not sure you will enjoy doing it. So the most important thing about failure is that it allows you to do things that you say, okay, it's so huge and amazing that I am willing to fail. Okay, I'm not willing to fail in something that's slow. So there are mainly 5 lessons that I can share with you about this thing. One of them is that failure is about saving time. The other one is that failure is about learning. And another one, the third one, is that failure is about money, to save money. You want to try things very, very quickly to see what works for you, what you want to duplicate or scale. And the fourth one is about culture, to create a culture that will allow you that in events like this, when you will share your fail within a few minutes, people will clap their hands and say, wow, it was amazing. And people will not look at you and tell you, so you failed probably. That's the idea of a culture that support failure and are willing to share it. And there is another thing, and that's trust, because if you want to create a group that can trust one another and are willing to share their knowledge, that's the most important thing. And I think I want, first of all, to thank you, Rafa, for creating this event. And of course, thank you, AT, and all the guests. But I think as students in an MBA and as people who want to create startups and people who work in corporates, that's what really learning is. Learning is about creating an area that you can share what you've succeeded and what you failed. And that's the point where you learn. So you call this event, is it okay to fail? And I must tell you, it's not okay to fail. You must fail. And you better fail a lot of times before you choose where you want to invest your money or what you want to do. So I wish you all that you will all fail very fast and very cheap and enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I have to say, I'm really inspired by this speech. First, my reflection is that I remember a few years ago, I was in such a design thinking school near Potsdam, near Berlin, in Germany. And there was great sentences on the walls of this place, and one of these sentences, what is a sort of part of this philosophy of design thinking methodology also. It's fail fast and cheap, and absolutely I agree. And I hope our studies, our MBA programs, also a possibility for our students to have such a place to fail fast and extremely cheap. So it's absolutely this philosophy. Thank you very much. And now, the most important part of today's event. Sorry, Nir, sorry, Adina, you are very important, but the next part is the most important part of our event today, because we invited 3 great people who want to share their failures with us, their fuck-ups with us, and to initiate this failure sharing culture here in Poland. By the way, hi, Uliana. I see Uliana. It's I want to welcome you because I want to say we are with you, especially today. So Uliana is our student from Ukraine in our program, but now I want to ask our first guest. Our first guest is Wojciech Buła. Wojciech Buła is our student. It's our student from Japan. because it's online program, so he can participate in the program from Japan. So please notice that in Japan we have now 22:03 if I 3 a.m. If I understand. Wojtek, it's true?
22 minutes to 3.
Yeah. So it's really a crazy time to make a speech about failures for him, but I'm very satisfied, very happy that Wojtek wants to do this speech. Wojtek is CTO and co-founder at Bisu Incorporation in Japan. Wojtek, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and I'm really grateful for this opportunity. And I must say, I feel a little bit stressed not to show you how the real fuck up in the real time looks like, because the last time I gave a lecture was when I was working at the university. But let's go for it. So the title is Foxtrot Uniform Charlie Kilo Echo Delta Alphabet. I'm gonna show you my presentation in 2 parts. First, I will show you how to reduce the risk to 0. So yes, it is possible not to fail at all. And I'm going to show you how to do it in very few slides. So when I was young, and in 2004, I decided to go to make my PhD in the Netherlands. So I packed my backpack, literally, I put my CV printed there, and I was just going on the top floor of this building, going down, meeting with the guys, giving my CV and asking if they have some open position for a PhD. And I found one. So the University of Twente is a small university in the Netherlands. It's called the Ondernemende Universiteit. That means the entrepreneurial university. They have the
sorry, I stop you because we can see only the first slide. We can see the slide with not with presentation, but its main view of PowerPoint.
Oh, now I don't see anything on my screen. That's interesting.
It's like fuck up.
You speak so interesting that it's not a problem that we cannot see your slides, but we only want to inform you. So.
That's the meeting all about. We love you.
Exactly.
It is okay to fail.
Okay. Seriously, don't see it? Okay. How I can do that? Do you see this?
Still the first slide. The first slide. Foxtrot Uniform Charlie Kilo Echo Delta.
Okay, let's try again. What about now?
The same?
Cancel the sharing. Try to cancel the sharing and to do it again. To share.
Yeah. Okay, here we are.
Don't stress, please.
It's the little devil.
Maybe this will work. Okay.
Dear all, it wasn't in a script.
It wasn't invited.
It wasn't, you know, prescribed.
Yeah.
Now it's better, absolutely.
You see it?
Yeah, we can.
Do you see this one? Second slide.
We can still see the presenter view, but
it's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
Don't worry. It's okay.
Okay. So how to reduce the risk to 0? So I went to the university, Entrepreneurial Universiteit, and Mesoplast Institute for Nanotechnology. So a very famous place at that time. So we will do the nanotechnology, microsystems, and all this jazz. And this particular university is responsible for 10% of the spin-offs and startup in the Benelux. So it's actually pretty entrepreneurial. So you have the nanotechnology, microtechnology, microfluidics, lab on a chip, microsystem, MEMS, microreactors, everything that at that time was a hot topic. And what I did, I wanted to start the company that will basically make the microreactors for the research field, then for the industry, and one day we'll deliver this microsystem lab on a chip point of care diagnostics for the masses. But I never did that. That was the problem. My friend did that. And my friend was very successful with his company, is growing all the time. And in order to avoid, if you want to avoid risks, the best way to do it is just don't do anything. And this is what I did. It was like 2009, 2010. And at that time I thought like, okay, that's a pretty big mistake. It was sitting in the back of my head that next time the opportunity will knock to my door or will bite my ass, I would open the door for it. The reason why I did that, I was just listening to the second voice in my head saying like, oh no, you should don't do that. You should not do that. It will fail. It's this guy is doing that. This guy is doing that. It's the market is too late. And I had another friend who was also supporting this preconception. That was a big mistake, but I remember that I made this mistake. So next time things things were different. And that's the end of my part one. And I think somebody else right now talks.
No, Vicky, you can start part two.
Oh, yeah.
What came to my mind is that who doesn't risk never gets to drink champagne. Isn't it true?
Yeah. Well, I'm not at the drinking part of champagne yet, because this startup I'm going to talk to you about right now is still ongoing. And so the big failure is probably in front of us. We try to do everything that we can to avoid that, but you never know what the future will bring. But I'm going to tell you about the alphabet of all the tiny fuck-ups that when they come together or they come in the wrong time can destroy your startup. So, A, are you crazy? This is what my colleagues at the University of Tokyo were thinking when I told them that I'm going to leave the University of Tokyo voluntarily and go to start a startup. And that happens basically 15 years or 10 years, I don't remember exact date, when I received the email from my current co-founder, and he said like, oh, you know, we want to build a smart toilet. Why don't you join us? And I did. So when everybody felt like, oh, this guy is completely crazy, we qualified to Hacks Accelerator. That's the biggest hardware accelerator in the world. They have the campus in San Francisco and in Shenzhen. We went to Shenzhen. The acceptance level lower than 3%, and out of 500 startups that were there were 2 Japanese startups, and we are second Japanese startup, but we are not 100% Japanese startup. So Bisu is the company. So what we try to do, we try to measure the biomarkers in the urine and in saliva. So we have like a reader, test sticks, and some application for different needs. You definitely see the Japanese origami design approach, minimalistic, you should look elegant and so on. You pee at the stick, you put the stick into the reader. After 2 minutes, you have the information about the biomarker. And why we want to do that? We want to give people, we want people to have healthier, happier lives by giving them accurate, affordable access to actionable health data at home. That's the official motto. Because unofficial one is actually fuck this shit. This is what we put even on the wall, because that was happening so often from these letters I'm going to show you in the moment, that become our kind of unofficial motto. And this is actually the first time I say about this publicly. See, like incorporation or corporation. So we are a Delaware company. So if you want to invest into us, you invest into the Delaware entity. But our headquarters is actually in Tokyo, in the subsidiary. 95% of the guys sit in Tokyo. It's 100% owned subsidiary, so that might be a little bit tricky legal system for some investors to grab. So we are an American company, headquartered in Japan, run by Europeans. My co-founder is British. Our primary market is US, but we want to make the device in Japan, so made in Japan. We want to use the brand, but we want to bring the manufacturing back to Japan, where it's, let's say, the high quality came from. What could possibly go wrong with this arrangement? The domain name. So Bisu is actually the old Egyptian god, the one that was helping mothers, children, was taking care of your health and so on. The protector of the household. It is pretty ugly dwarf, but it's a foreigner, as we are. It's the only one in the Egyptian mythology that is 2-dimensional. But there's another problem related to Bisu. There's this Kim Taek-young. So this is a Korean pro esport player, and he was using the Bisu nickname as a professional, I think it was StarCraft, yes, StarCraft player. So somebody uses the Twitter account with this name. It costs us 3,000 in Bitcoin before the peak of the Bitcoin 1.5 years ago. So actually the woman who sold us this nickname, this account on Twitter, I think she has like $20,000 after a few months of us purchasing this. But there was a second problem. Somebody has the BSU.com domain, and they asked us 300,000 to pay for it, and that was a little bit painful. We did not pay 300,000, but we did not secure in the beginning, and in the end we have to pay more than 50,000. So actually you can buy a small flat in Warsaw. Like equity table. What do you do if you are a young startup? Oh yeah, I want to be a startup. Yeah, let's go to incorporate the company in Delaware. Great. But then you make a founders agreement, you share your equity, everybody is happy. Yes, but then people leave, then you give some equity to the advisor that starts to work for your competition at some time, or is endorsing your competitors. Yeah, nice. 2.5% here, 7% there, and then you end up with a small chunk, or actually big chunk, of your equity, of your cap table with a debt equity. F faxes, that's Japan. Yes, if for the younger guys, this is a fax machine. This is something like you used before the email. And yes, they still use it in Japan. And in and my friend was head of BMW here in Japan, and he said that it took them few years to convince the distributors and the network not to use faxes to set the orders. G like gaijin. Gaijin is a foreign country person. And this is basically what all the foreigners have to face in Japan. You are okay, but you have to earn a trust, and that takes a lot of time. Ghosting is also G. So we had a company in China that was supposed to be the manufacturer of the main part of our system, so the microfluidic chip. One day they stopped picking up the phones, they disappeared. Nice, pretty cool. H, Hanko. Hanko is a seal. Yeah, the one on the left. And you have different type of seals. And yes, you have to seal documents here. If you don't seal the document, it doesn't exist. I like innovation and individuality. So this picture comes from Toyota Motors new recruit induction ceremony that is held in April. And the CEO of Toyota is saying to these poor guys, like, okay, the company relies on you expressing your individuality. And all of the guys are sitting in the uniforms like that. Yes, of course, the individuality and the innovation would happen for sure. J, Japanese VCs. What's the best risk mitigation method? You just don't invest. If you don't invest, you don't lose money. So they're sitting on the pile of gold and they don't lose money. The numbers looks pretty okay. They have like few millions, few years back, there was a crisis, and they still have the same amount after a few years. No problem, no risk. Brilliant, great idea. Okay, I didn't find anything on K, so it's like, okay. So you talk to the VC, early stage VC, it's very important, early stage VC, and they say like, you say, okay, I want to have $100,000 and our current valuation is 1 million. And they say to you like, yeah, you know, you come to us when you have 100 prepaid customers, or preferably 1,000 customers. And it's like, yeah, okay, but you know that in order for us to get there, we need millions of dollars. L, law firms. So probably we are the only company that you encounter that had 4 law firms dealing with your patents over the course of 1 year. Why? The first guy was great, but he left to work for some other company. Then we have the second one. We have a great meeting, like 1 hour, we become friends, everything is perfect. And that was after 3 years of being engaged and sharing the ideas, documents, and so on. And we have the meeting with associate. And we ask that person at the end when and if we are going to have the meeting with the partner with who we are talking for like 3 years. Day after, we received the email that, oh, you know, this is like, we have 0 tolerance for such a behavior. I have elected to terminate our business relationship. Person 2, please prepare a disengagement letter. And we're like, okay, but what happened? It's maybe we are not the recipient of the email. It turns out that and the law firm was in US, that we did not take into account that by asking if we are going to have a chat with a partner might be considered very rude and inappropriate. So we changed a law firm, then everything was going smoothly. And one day we received the bill for $20,000. And it's like, oh, okay, hey, hold your horses. We have the budget in the company like 100,000. So we are not going to spend one fifth on that on something that we actually did not ask to do. The guy was very insulted, and of course, he withdrew as our patent attorney. We have to look for another one. And there were like two another, but the last one is actually pretty perfect. Moving to a new office. So we have a small office in the in a common workspace with a tiny office for 3 people, as long as 2 people are not coming to the office. Hacks wanted to open a new office in Tokyo, so we were invited. We wanted to be part of it, so we were asked to prepare the list of the equipment we are going to use. Shiny, beautiful, new, everything was okay. So we packed everything. We tell to our landlord we are moving. We pack the car. We move to a new place, more or less in this manner. So bridge, bank, and clear with all the carton boxes, and we enter in the middle of the meeting of the managers of that company, and the guys were looking like, what the hell are you doing here? It's like, yeah, we move in. What do you mean you move in? No, you told us last week, like, please come to work here, but they meant the common space, and we thought the office. And that was pretty epic, because I never seen Japanese being so scared as in that situation. So what we did the same as Napoleon coming back from Moscow. So we came back to the office on the left. It looked big, but actually it was less than 10 square meters. We spent 1 year there. I think normally they were keeping mops and some other clean accessories there, but they allow us to stay there for 1 year. Of course, no windows. And NDA. Do you know how long it takes to sign the NDA with a Japanese supplier of a raw material? 4.5 months, because the stamps has to go up. Somebody has to make the decision, and then the stamps has to go down. 4.5 months. Oh, orders. So you want to order something, you go to the web page. Oh, I found the fume hood. I want to order this. I want to pay with the credit card. Oops, I cannot do that. I received the email. I have to contact the guys. The guys tell me, okay, you cannot do that. We have to send you additional specification. Okay, and then they send to my office the sales department. The sales department gives me some other offers that I have to choose from. I pick one, then they say like, okay, this is the pre-offer, but please stamp it. Once we receive that, we will send you the real offer. Okay, here it comes. So then we go to the bank, we want to pay for it. No. First, they have to send us the post pre-offer. Then we go to the bank. Then we send them the information that we pay for their equipment. Then they send the guys to install the equipment. And then finally, after 3 months, we finally finished our internet order. And there's one more thing, there's always a third man involved. You cannot buy things directly from the manufacturer. Pride.
I have to interrupt you a little bit because time is going, and you speak extremely interesting, but please try to be close to the end, because
yes,
we have 2 more people.
Yes, very sorry for that. This is my fuck up. We had one investor who said like, okay, we are going to fuck up your round because we were not able to sell our shares to some other investors because they did not agree on the price. So they said, it's better for you to die than for us to lose face. The same investor actually was making delays. So we are about not to close our first pre-seed round. Rules are very important in Japan. I'm not going to do that. Your father was doing that. Your grandfather was doing that. And your grandchildren will do exactly the same things in exactly the same way. Schedule, yeah, I will skip that slide. Too early, too late. That's another thing you hear from the investor. Carpet, ugly carpet. That's our new office. Yeah, it can be bad. And this is something you need, something you need sometimes to survive. There are good moments, though. So the good moment is when the well-known global Japanese brand comes to you and says like, okay, we are not going to take you to our accelerator because you are too advanced for us. And that was like the moment like, okay, we failed, but that gives us the good spirit. Takeaways. Anything that can go will go wrong. That's the Murphy's law, but I prefer this Murphy's law that things, whatever can happen, will happen. And our investor, actually, you can find the good investors in Japan. So ASICS become our investor. We raised 4.5 million today, preparing to pre-series A. We went through different challenges. We won some things. Even the office is bearable right now with the carpet. And thank you for your attention. And Yala, Tachles, and Chutzpah. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this presentation. I wanted to ask about some questions, but being honest, Wojtek made a little bit too long, and so maybe some comments in the end, because I have additional 2 great speakers, and I have an exercise for you also. So because of that, let's go to the next person. But I have to say, for me, these failures connected with culture, with being in different cultures, is really something extremely interesting and extremely inspiring. I think everybody who try to cooperate in the world has some stories as that, and really it's better to learn on mistakes on others than on mistakes or on myself, I can say. Okay, so next person, next speaker is Marcin Małaszuk, growth manager for Your Software House and B2B tech startup, marketing consultant supporting B2B software companies, and experienced entrepreneur. Marcin, the floor is yours.
Hello, guys. So Adina, Nir, and Wojtek, thank you for your presentations. I have, that now kind of tough task to do to keep you, awake. But let's go then. I start sharing. If you will not see screen changing, then let me know. All right. So I would say building a company is a thing. It's rather not a piece of cake unless you are an observer. But we all know statistics for failures, for startups. And it's like failure rates, like let's say average, it's like 90%. 1 out of 10 succeeds, 9 doesn't. Yeah, and today I would like to focus not only on startups failure, but on the first-time starters. Yeah, so people who start their very first businesses. Yes, and this statistics for this particular group wouldn't be even that kind. It would be even worse. So who are those first starters? Yes, first starters are in general specialists. Yes, so people who know their business domains from inside out. Yes, they do stuff very well. They are experts. They are focused on narrow stuff they are doing. They are usually doctors, nurses, bakers, software developers, marketers, traders, etc. Yeah, so those people in their daily work routine, they are solving problems. They are finding bottlenecks in their domains. And from specialist point of view, there are ideas that are born. Yeah, so those people start ventures that gonna change world, new Googles, better Ubers, new internet. and have great hopes, big dreams, and great aspirations. Yes, but I have two questions here. Yes, so first question is, do specialists have skills required for doing business? Do they have skill set? Yeah, and second, should they start that businesses? Yes, and I'll try to answer those questions, telling you my story, because yeah, that's me. It's like a hat from Christmas, kind of recently. I was like, a couple of years ago, I considered myself as a specialist. Yes, I was doing logistics. I was supply chain say specialist in a small company that was wholesale distributor of plastic bags, you know, that stuff that you find at the counter of the shop. And what I was doing, I was responsible for whole supply chain, and especially on the ocean trade. Yeah, that was the point that I liked the most. Working on the ocean trade for my employer, I've noticed that there are great price spreads on the cost of the container that is going to be shipped from Far East, let's say Vietnam, not to Warsaw, but to Gdańsk. Yeah, so the service was the same, the same container, the same ship, the same time, but the prices of the service were different, and those differences were based on the freight forwarder pricing strategy. Yes, and that was my reality. And to manage that process, I prepared my own tool in an Excel spreadsheet, where I did some benchmarking on the offers I gathered from the market. I found what's the average, what's the lowest, what's the highest price. And this way I was helping myself to run negotiations with freight forwarders and to buy freight. Yes, and afterwards I was generating savings for the company I was working for. Yes, but sometime later I found thing like this. Yeah, so this is Shanghai Containerized Freight Index. So this is aggregated data that tells you what's the market price for the container for shipping from point A to B. But it's really general data. Yes, so it's global data. And I found, okay, so I was doing my freight index, mini freight index in a company I was doing for, and there are guys that are aggregating such kind of similar data, and they are showing it publicly. So they must be used by someone. Yeah, it was kind of well-known index. Yes, but on the other hand, Shanghai index wasn't useful for myself because it was too general. On the other side, my my spreadsheet was, let's say, helpful for me, but I would like to get some more insights from the market. Yes, how my competition, how much money they pay for container. Yeah, if I've got a really good price or not. Yes, so that was the time when idea of my future startup was born. Yes, and I was ready to build a unicorn. Yes, so that was the time when I changed my mind. I no longer wanted to be a specialist, but I wanted to be an entrepreneur and build a startup nation in Poland. Yes, so to do so, to check my hypothesis that such tool like benchmarking tool for freight forwarding prices would be useful for the market, I decided to change my job, and I went from small company to a corporation to check if big companies, if corporations have the same problems with containers, meaning with the prices. I did so, and I've noticed that corporations have the same problems as small companies regarding prices. So for me, that was really cool. Yes, so another proof to do business. So doing I was not waiting too long because I was kind of close to startup, let's say, stage in Poland. I heard a lot of about VCs and so on. So I structured my presentation on PowerPoint and decided to present my idea and great venture for VCs and let them pay me for development of the startup. But that was like I was really lucky that I was able to pitch that idea, and those guys told me to go away, yeah, because what are you doing? It's presentation, it's worth zero, exactly. But good thing they told me, and they instruct me what should I do next. Yes, so I had some checklist what to do. I spoke with a couple of guys, and one of my friends told me that the best place to start working on a startup is a hackathon, yeah, place where you meet business people, future business people, meet IT guys. Yes, so this is the way I took part in Warsaw Startup Weekend. I pitched my idea there, and that idea landed. Yeah, so I found some people who were interested in that let's say that idea. And within the weekend, my hackathon team built low fidelity MVP. So really something that didn't work, but it pretended to work and showed somehow the process. Yes, so I had something in my hands, and afterwards my team won that competition. Yes, so that was super great. We've got some press in Forbes, so that was great start for me. After the event, I was ultra motivated, and I took 2 weeks off from my normal regular job and started cold calling companies, having that MVP in hand. Yeah, so now we are all in COVID virtual reality, but at that time I was like screen sharing and asking people to open some crazy link to present my screen from someplace in Warsaw, and that exercise lasted 2 weeks, and the outcome was kind of good, because I found 5 companies that told me, okay, Marcin, your idea is good. We are focusing, we have similar problems as you are describing. Come back to us at some point of time when you will have working product. Yes. So I had those, let's say, agreements signed. Having all that, it was easier for me to find co-founders. Yeah, I found IT guys who joined my team, meaning we were one team, and crucial people who developed the afterwards the business, not business but the application. Yeah, and having that, I came back once again to the VC that I've been with presentation only, and I told them, hi guys, I've got low fidelity MVP, I've got letters of intent, I've got team, so we are ready to kick off. Yeah, and after that we got money from them. We've got investor on board, so that was ultra terrific. And one private remark from me after that pitch to seed capital, so VC, just one day after that, I had a wedding. Yeah, so everything was ultra nice, and I thought myself like this gentleman here drinking champagne, because like everything was adding up. Then it came time for building a business. Yeah, we had money, so developers started building working software. Once we had it done, I came back to the clients, to new clients. I showed them soft, they registered, they started using it. So I was extremely happy. Everything was going up. And it's, the time to cash a little bit, yeah, to issue invoices, yeah, for that brilliant service, yes. And guess what happened? Happened this: no one wanted to pay me, meaning for that great soft. Yes, they told us there is no real value, they wouldn't pay for that, and so on. So what we've done, we closed ourselves in a room and started working on new features. Yeah, great features for logistics. Yeah, and that was container tracking. We revealed our feature, telling them once again, dear customers, this is a feature from us, pay us. Happened this. No one paid for that. Yeah. So we are a little bit scared because we're running out of money and time was passing, and our business was not unicorn. Yes, yet, maybe never. So we decided to change our system, our application completely upside down. So make a pivot, let's say, and from being from analytical tool that was dedicated only for shippers, we've created a marketplace that connected freight forwarders and shippers. Yeah, and guess what happened next? Yeah, we got paid. Yeah, we've freight forwarders paid for us because we were generating them some clients. So for us, it was UP at one point. We had first traction, we had first agreements signed, and we had users of our tool. But the reality was like this. Our bank account looked just like this wallet. So we had no cash in bank, no money to live for. We had our families. We had no meaningful KPIs to show to VCs that they would appreciate, and we had no morale in our team. Yes, so from this way to become a unicorn of that brilliant MLOC analysis tool for freight forwarding and for shipping, happened things like this. So we were forced to close the business. Yes, and that's the end of the story, to be honest. Yeah, we closed the business, but in the meantime we had great fun. So that's the point. We shoot very funny videos with a wolf. You can see him in the background. We were pretending to be a serious businessman. We were sailors as well, and I've done personally some lecture at Warsaw School of Economics. Yeah, so that was experience as well. I've been a little bit of copywriter at that time as well. So as you can see, it was fun. It was great job. It was hell of work. It was something that we've done as a marketing, as a sales, as a development, like we've really chaotically, like we are just throwing eggs or stones randomly. But with no financial success afterwards. So what went wrong? What was wrong in that story? Yes. So first of all, there was no marketing strategy in the company. Yes, we did everything, we tried everything, but with no precise idea how to communicate, how to build value proposition, how to reach and build up our market. We had no financial strategy as well, because that VC was like a early stage VC that gave us money that we thought it's like for a long period, but true reality was that we were not able to plan our financial P&L and plan that. And third point was lack of general business knowledge. Yeah, so all of our team was team of specialists. Yes, we were good at our business domains, and now we were to swim in the deep water and get the skills from nowhere, to be honest. Yes, so we were lacking those skills. And what happens after that? Yeah, so as you can see here, there was no strategy, no financial strategy, no business knowledge, and no marketing knowledge. But now what happened after that, that was the great lesson for me to learn what I haven't at the point of time of doing business. Yeah, so now I help B2B software companies with strategy and marketing. Yeah, so I think this is the point of the time when I should come back to those two questions from the very beginning. So did I have the skills required for doing business? Hell no. As a specialist, I had no skills for calling myself as a businessman. But should I start that business? Hell yes. Yeah, I should do it. I would, if I would change could change time, I wouldn't change anything despite doing things during the business, yeah, but having strategy and so. And the third question that wasn't there, did I fail? Yeah, so that's the question that I'm not going to answer. I think it's the time to say to you, thank you very much and have a great evening. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much. I like very much your conclusion that you need very much this business knowledge to start business, because it's something what we try to give to our students in our MBA program. Martin, thank you very much. Great presentation. And I think we have time for 1-2 questions, no more, but 1-2, it's okay. If somebody wants to ask something, please raise your hand.
There's a question on chat from Helen. So Martin, why they did not pay at the beginning? Perhaps Helen would like to join us and clarify or make it more specific.
Yeah, Helen, could you make it? What do you mean?
Please, it's possible.
Oh, I meaning customers. Why customers didn't pay? That might be okay, because you know it's like it's that what Near told, I think so. Yeah, so fail fast. Yeah, we were. I had some sort of assumptions that my tool is ultra interesting. It's saving world and logistics departments. But that wasn't the that was only assumption, hypothesis, and the market showed that it's not worth like paying for that one. Yes. So why didn't why didn't they pay? They didn't see the value in that product that we delivered. Yeah, simple as that. But the conclusion is once. Conclusion for me, if I were to do it once again, if I would see such a situation that customers doesn't pay for something, it's true, meaning you don't need to fight that one, just make your product pivot that one. Yeah, look for another solutions, do things and changes fast. For us it took too long, for sure, because development were not experienced, and we didn't know how to do it fast, but the last part of our business showed that there is a way to start generating money. But that was time when we had no cash and no morale.
Okay, thank you. Przemek, please.
Yeah, so the question is, with the knowledge that you have already right now, yeah, would you be able to build a value proposition from the first idea? Was it really good? I mean, or you just did it wrong? I mean, you just understand it wrong and talk to the customers wrong. And so with the knowledge that right now you have, would it work on the first move? And would you, I mean, you partly answered this, would you be able to pivot and do something meaningful out of it?
Regarding this value proposition, so I may not understand you. If I misunderstand you, so just tell. But that value proposition was it was what I meant. I wasn't aware of value of building this value proposition at that point of time, and communicating it to the broad audience. So that, I think, meaning we knew the value proposition, we could calculate that one. Yeah, we could tell for our clients, you've got less time of doing analysis, you save at least $100 per container. If you ship 100 containers, you can see the profits. But that was communicated during the conversations and so on. But marketing wise, we didn't do it properly. Yeah, we talked about us, ourselves, not about our customers and their profits. Yes. And the second question, I think it was about if I had that knowledge. Yeah, so if I had knowledge, my experience, you know, it's like I heard things like that, like learning on someone's money or someone's mistakes is not like learning on your own mistakes. Yes, so I believe that there are plenty of books, there are lectures and so on, and they would not make 100% sure that you will omit some mistakes. But if you will personally do a mistake or fail, I guarantee that you will not do it again.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you didn't answer the last question, did I fail? But it's good to say, yes, I did. I mean, I did fail a few times in my life. So each of this was a great reward in learning, for sure, even it was very painful. So if I would be an investor, yeah, so I usually would choose the people that already failed, and it's just really makes sense to show what you've learned and why you failed. So I would say that's okay. Yeah, as in the topic of the meeting today.
Thank you very much. I have to stop here because we have the last guest, the last on the list, and Dorota Poraszka. Dorota Poraszka is our last guest. She's a managing partner at Move Forward Training and Development, coach, facilitator, change expert, translator of books about business coaching. And I just want to say something additional because Dorota said me that she likes failures very much. And not only because of her name, Poraszka, because I'm not sure if our guests from other countries know that Poraszka in Polish means failure. Exactly. Failure. So it's a coincidence, but I think very inspirational also. Dorota, the floor is yours. Say something.
Thank you very much.
Poraszka.
With pleasure, with pleasure. And it is my name. It's not a nick. Dorota Poraszka. I was not born with this surname. Okay, I got it with my husband. You can say it was a package. I didn't have much choice. But then you could ask me a question: do I like my surname? And as Marcin Małaszuk used to say, hell, I do. I love my surname. Now, have I always liked it? Oh, yes. Hell yes, as Marcin would say. Why? Because my surname makes people smile, because people remember me. And, you know, when I introduce myself, I used to joke about it, and it starts a really nice conversation. So it is my true name, okay? My name is Dorota Poraszka, and thank you for introducing me, Rafał. I want to tell you about some lessons that I learned from my failures. And this is the first lesson I learned. Treat failures with a smile, joke about them. It will make people smile as well, okay? If you talk about your failures, you start building relationship. This is one thing. Now, I would like to tell you about other failures and other lessons from my failure. I do not own a startup, okay? I have my own company, so some time ago it was a startup, but before that, for many years, I had been in different roles in consultancy company, medium-sized consultancy company. I was a consultant, I was a manager, I was vice president, a director somewhere as well. And many, many years ago, this is a story about my failure. Many years ago, when I was a manager in this consultancy company, I was responsible for managing a big project for important international corporation. And at the beginning, it was smooth and beautiful. It lasted for 2 years. And after a year and something, I realized it was no longer smooth and beautiful. Something went wrong. People lost their enthusiasm. The opinions about the project were not that good. I knew we had to make some mistakes. And at that time, an important change happened in my client's organization. There was a change at the managerial level. So a very, very senior manager, member of the board changed, a new person came, and let me call him a big boss. So the big boss arrived in this company, and he was the person to whom I was supposed to report. Okay, I was now supposed to talk to him, and I asked for a meeting. So he agreed. He was distant, he was cold, and he asked, "How is it going, Dorota?" I said, "Well, I'm not sure. I've got my subjective opinions, but what we can do, we can ask the people in your organization for whom this project was designed and created." And he said, "Okay, let's do it." And then I returned to my company and I told my colleagues about this idea, and they said, "You're crazy, Dorota. You have no idea what these people can write in those questionnaires." I said, "Of course, I don't know, but the fact that I won't ask them doesn't mean that they won't think and talk about it anyway. And I still want to know what went wrong." So I did that, okay? I did that, and we had this questionnaire, and the results show me that it was absolutely not a success. So people were complaining about how we were managing the projects. There were some bitter words about us. There were also some bitter words about the company, that the company didn't prepare them for this project, that there wasn't enough time, resources booked, that there wasn't enough involvement on the level of managers. So I had a sleepless night, okay? Shall I send the report with the results of the questionnaire to the big boss? What shall I do? Okay, what do you think I did? I had a sleepless night. I thought, okay, it can be really bad for me, for my company. Maybe I will lose the job. Maybe I will lose this client. It was completely sleepless night. And then in the morning, I pressed the key, send. Adina, would you call that chutzpah? Was it chutzpah? Now I know what it was, okay? But then I thought, okay, so I send this report and we're gonna have a meeting. Maybe this meeting will not take place, but it did take place. I met with the big boss. He looked at me, cold and distant as before. And I was brave enough, to withstand the silence. And then, you know what he said to me? He said, "I respect you, Dorota. I respect you because I knew what people have been talking about, because I spoke with them. And I respect you because you faced it and you showed me what I knew anyway. And now you showed me also other things, the mistakes we made. And I want to talk to you about how we could repair it." And you know what? It was many, many years ago, and I still cooperate with this big boss. I changed companies, he changed companies, but we still work together. Why? Because there was trust. And that was my second lesson about failures. So my second lesson about failures is look your failures in the face. Marcin, you ask yourself a question, did I fail? Look in the mirror and answer with courage and humility and have the answer to it, right? because you need this courage and humility to admit that your failures did take place. The third thing that I learned about failures, and this is my lesson number 3, is when you are open and honest about your failures, people are open and honest too. They speak up. They know it is okay to share ideas and reveal mistakes, because that's how we learn. And whatever business you are developing, this is important to know from the very beginning. Do you know what a psychological safety is? Have you ever heard of this notion? It could be important in your building of companies. Psychological safety was a notion created many, many years ago, but now it's having his second life. This is a lady, she's called Amy Edmondson, and she wrote a bestseller book, The Fearless Organization. You can listen to her TED Talks. She talks about how to create psychological safety in your company for learning, for innovation, for growth. Amy Edmondson is the Novartis Professor of Leadership and Management at the Harvard Business School. And for 20 years, he conducted research which shows that when people didn't speak up, the organization's ability to innovate and grow was threatened. Because if people don't feel safe, there will be epidemic of silence, especially now in this virtual world. That's why we need the psychological safety, which is the belief that you won't be punished, won't be humiliated for speaking up with ideas, questions, concerns, mistakes. This world now is called turbo VUCA. VUCA, I'm sure you heard of the concept, is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world. With pandemic, with what's happening around us, it's turbo VUCA world. And we need all ideas. We need people to speak up, to support, to be brave, to be open. Amy says that people who create companies, people who lead companies, leaders who want to hear only good news, they create fear, and this fear blocks them from hearing the truth. A lack of psychological safety can create an illusion of success that eventually turns every move into a really serious failure. And the company culture becomes the culture of silence, the worst possible culture. So how to create psychological safety? Do what Rafa is doing, facilitate people speaking up about their failures, establish norms for how failure is handled, and create space for new ideas. Show curiosity, encourage people to talk, to share their ideas, and do not think of yourself as a loser because you had a failure, okay? My final lesson about failure is that real failure is trying something, learning it doesn't work, and then doing it again, repeating the same thing. This is a real failure. So when you fail, when you admit you failed, stop and reflect. Think what you have learned and then try something new. 2 goodbye quotes. One, my favorite one, is that we do not learn from experience. The fact that we had a failure won't help us unless we reflect. We learn from reflecting on experience. That's why it's so important to really think about what's happening to us. Stop, pause, reflect. And a very well-known quote, the master has failed more times than the beginner ever tried. So my own experience and a bit of psychology about failure from me. If you've got any questions, I don't know if we've got time for them. Rafa will decide.
2 questions. Do we have any questions?
If you don't have right now, then let me say thank you, but I'm here until the end of the meeting. So if you want to ask me a question on the chat box, please do. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dorota. Any questions? The last chance now. Okay. Oh yeah, I can do what Wojtek done. So absolutely, thank you very much for this presentation. Okay, so the next part. First I want to thank you very much our guests, our speakers for sharing these failures. I think it's not easy to share failures. But as I said, it's our philosophy. It's a philosophy of this event. It should be a philosophy of startup nations in the world to share failures. And now I want to ask you not only to listen to that, but I want to ask you now to do that. So the plan is to split you to small teams for only 10 minutes, no more, even less, 7 minutes. To split you for small 4 people, more or less 3-4 people teams, breakout rooms. And I want to ask you to make extremely short presentation in the group, extremely short. It means about 30 seconds per person. And to share extremely short but insightful failure, mistake, error, fuck up, as you want to call it. Okay, so, and it's extremely important now to, if you can, of course, to switch on cameras, because it's much better to communicate with switched on cameras. I can observe now that some people are now going somewhere because they don't want to do it, but stay, please. It's a philosophy of this event to stay now and to share these mistakes. Okay, I'm ready now. No, I'm still not ready. But oh, sorry, not this. Okay, I try to make breakout rooms now. Nine breakout rooms. I try to prepare. You will have 7 minutes plus 60 seconds of final countdown, let's say. So do it, please. Share your failures.
Dzień dobry, cześć. Nie wiem, czy mi słyszycie.